So, hi, this is Roberto Fidencio Ramos again. I'm here to give you the small little video of the origin of order mine in the first place and how it came about. So, first off, we come to look at this plate. This is the origin plate, and the only reason why I'm going to tell you how this plate here was created and how it came about. So, first of all, when Ordermine was created, it was a side project, and none of these things existed. I was practicing at that point, Western mystery tradition. And my side project was going to be on building my own order. And it was completely different from what Western mystery tradition was, as it was a bunch of a side project that I was doing in which I practiced Tara. So if you don't know what Tara is, we're going to give you some information. And I encourage you to get this book here and this book here. When I began practicing Tara, I was experiencing extreme pain and suffering, almost as if I was going to die. I began drawing the 10-syllable mantra of Tara inside in a temple space that was completely cleared of Western mystery tradition stuff, and I would sit in the middle of it, and I would light 21 candles, in which I would simultaneously turn the candles off as I was doing work with Tara. Later, I set up an altar in my apartment to where I would contemplate Tara, but I had left this piece here in my home where my temple was at, and I did not take this piece with me because we had not been living at my apartment that long. So this was just work that I was doing in my home. Well, make a long story short, I began having experiences in which every time that I would work with Tara, I started having visionary experiences as really awful things started happening in my life. I started saying to Tara more like, save me, you're saving force, mother, they're gonna kill me, all these things, So I started saying, I said, take these things from me, and all these things, where I began having these extreme experiences with phenomenal experiences. So as one can see on this here, if nobody knows what any of these numbers are, so let's say for instance, when I worked with Tara, I had, let's say for this is where it began here, right? And the whole reason how this came about here is that each one of these has a number by it here, like 10, 25, 26. So somebody starts thinking like, oh, okay, these are the values of this system. No, they're not. This symbol does not represent 33. This symbol does not represent 34, and so forth. These symbols are, this is a culmination of the sum experience of Tara work that I was doing over a period of time when I was being stalked and almost murdered. So when we look at this number and this 10 here, this is the 10th day of the visionary experience that took me to acquire this symbol through practicing Tara. This is the 22nd day that it took from practicing Tara to acquire this symbol here. This symbol here took 64 days to acquire. This symbol here while practicing Tara. This symbol here took 56 days in practicing Tara. And as you can see, within this framework, there is going to be, there's about eight semiotic tradition in this system 8 symbols that were very extremely difficult and illusionist to acquire. We There's no way that I could have acquired those symbols without repeated work, and you will find them in here where it breaks here. When we'll say, well, if 82, 83, then it jumps to 94, is because it broke within that certain area, because those are the days it took before I acquired this one. So one can begin saying like, oh, it just skipped to 94. No, it doesn't just skip to 94. There's a reason why those are like that. These are 130 days to acquire this one symbol. And this type of scrying visionary work always begins with Om Hom Swaha. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha for the benefit of the intelligence, for the benefit of the enlightenment, for the benefit of the refuge, and the liberation of limitless sentient beings into paths of pure bliss and non-suffering. And as this began to happen here, taking refuge, I began practicing Yidam Tara, and once you begin practicing Yidam Tara and you practice exclusively, something phenomenal begins to happen to the practitioner who really takes on karma and who takes back the karma of every single last thing that you have done in your whole entire life. Once you are cleared of your karma, then you begin to experience Tara. So we say here, right, for the whole thought on what Tara is, this is the origin plate. Every single one of these were put in this manner. This specific format here that spirals out is spiraled out in a specific format in which I placed it so that it could be easy for me to understand. Now later, with a new plate, which is plate 1111, which is almost 5 years, 4 months, and a few days later, you'll begin to see that this foundation is a foundation of pure peace. This is when I was practicing. There was extreme forms of malice and violence, extreme forms of pain and suffering occurring with me, to the point where literally I was asking a resonance in the universe that is called Tara to assist me, because my life was going to be taken. And that is the way that I felt, and it almost happened. It didn't happen, but this is origin plate, and the reason why this is left out here is because the specific one that goes in here is not placed in there, because when I receive this one, it activates the entire thing. So this one here is not in there for a specific purpose. No, it's not spirit. It doesn't deal with anything like that, or ghosts. It doesn't deal with anything like that. This is extreme academics. Later, we began taking these specific symbols and placing them within each one, within a 13 by 13 grid, and we began counting specific squares with specific qualities to acquire specific different mathematical computations, with again go into the symbol and their meaning. Now when we look at something like this symbol here, and we look at it and we say, oh well, this symbol here is it's just a symbol. No, this is not just a symbol. This is a color. This is within order mind. This is a sound is a mathematical formula. It has its own semiotic computation. It has its own meaning. It has its own type of sort of little story compounded into it, and so forth and so forth, and the teaching tool. So these are digitalized, will become digitalized later, so that people can begin to see this work, and this is where it started here. This is all done by me, Roberto Fidencio Ramos, and I'm giving you a little bit more on my system, and it revolves around peace. So this work here is dealing with how exactly is it that a race at our level, a stage 0 society, gets to be a stage 4, 5, 6 type of race. Well, the only type of way that we can acquire that knowledge, or to reach that state, is in a state of pure bliss and non-suffering. Because if we were to start intergalactic seeding, we would eventually come to contact with other races that that would need to feel unthreatened by us, in which we would have to be at the level of peace to come into contact with these races. Or even if they were lesser than us, we could not overtake them, we couldn't kill them, we couldn't conquer life, as we figure out that it is part of us. Even within us, within one person, 1 inch of a person, we have 100,000, more than 100,000 worlds, or the energy of 100,000 suns, which means that we are made of the same substance that is interstellar or stellar. So because of this, we begin to realize that we have little Earths inside of us, inside each one of us, all these little colonies of people. And do you think that those little colonies of people want to experience pain and suffering? Which you're experiencing is you're an entire environment or a habitat, and you have to provide that nourishment in the manner in which we are on Earth, being nourished by the being, and we have to heal the being that we are inside here on Earth, with again reflecting down into the microscopic form inside of us, to be able to bring peace and health and academics and master all these things everywhere. There could be health to the whole being. Other races or other places, other types of people and cultures have begun to understand this a while back, and they call it Tikkun Olam or Tonglen, and they're also practicing peace to the point of health of a being, because they've reached those academic statuses where they understand that peace needs to be established as a form of health for the entirety of the whole. We are everywhere. So when we look at things like this is for a type of intelligence that exists that is basically beyond a stage 0 society. This is something that we begin to look at and ask ourselves, like Mishikaku, Nikolai, Mishilev, Kurdishtev, what exactly is it that a stage 5 or stage 6 or stage 7 intergalactic race, or a race from another interstellar race would practice? Well, they would practice something similar to peace or Buddhism. Although Tara is a Buddhist and Hindu Eastern deity, this was revealed by her meditation, and this has been gifted to her. So if you ever want to practice peace, or if you practice Tara, there might be a possibility that you might experience something of such extreme nature. But I think what occurred is that when someone is passing through something so emotionally charged and extreme pain and suffering, like what I passed through, and I was at the heights of this spiritual journey, or this spiritual paradigm, or I think what happened is that it led me to this. The universe was like, peace is established. Do not think that you are being unheard. Like, this is going to be established. So in the end of it all, this is Origin Plate. My name is Roberto Fidencio Ramos, and this is for Order Mind. Have yourself a wonderful night. Peace be with you.